August 14th, 2025. Holly, would you please take roll call?
Luke Ermeling.
Present, representing communication centers.
Mindy Benson.
Mindy Benson, present, representing Iowa Emergency Management Association.
Chris Woughton.
Present, representing EMS.
Michelle Bischoff. Michael Colby.
Present, representing municipal and local police departments.
Jeff Vandewater.
Present, representing sheriff's offices.
And Patrick Updike.
Present, member at large. Are there any legislative members attending?
We do have a quorum.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody, all that could make it. First item is the approval of today's agenda. Do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
Ermeling, a motion.
Benson will second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The approval of today's agenda passes. The next item is approval of meeting minutes from July 10th, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Mike Colby will motion.
Vandewater seconds.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The approval of meeting minutes from July 10th, 2025 passes. Next up is the switch report. Haley, would you like to present that?
Sure. Thank you, Vice Chair Updike. Good morning. Current outreach events include booths at the Iowa State Fair. DPS is at 2 locations, the Hall of Law and Varied Industries. Our in-our bureau has volunteered to staff many hours at both locations. So come on out. We have even had our sysadmins program a couple radios so the kids can have some covert conversations, maybe even the adults. Recent deployments of cash radios for RAGBRAI have been utilized for some training events recently. We have upcoming requests for the mobile command at outreach events and have future knowledge of requests for a site while a tower will be down while a water tower is being painted. That's far in the future. If you need deployables, requests are made online. Deputy Swift-Walser and myself have been involved in some interstate interoperability meetings with our neighboring states and regions who are implementing and exploring critical connect communications links. We'll continue exploring those new technologies. Recently, Iowa DPS had an on-site CALIA assessment. That's the Commission on Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, in which DPS is a voluntary member. That assessment included the Isicsb system. And I wanted to read a note from the coordinator, the DPS coordinator of the assessment for your guys' benefit. The assessor was very impressed with our communications personnel and the service we provide to all agencies across the state. He was especially impressed with our statewide interoperability system, ranking it among the top 10 to 20% of systems that he's seen. And while he was interviewing me, he said that he had reviewed our policy and standards, and he was thoroughly impressed by all the work that went into creating them, and he commended how robust the scope was. I wanted to share those words since many of you have been on those working groups and were involved in the difficult and time-consuming task of creating all of those documents from the very beginning. Moving on, the COML is scheduled in Council Bluffs from September 22nd to the 24th. We have a robust roster already, but there is still room if anyone is still interested in attending COML, Communications Unit Leader. Updates on IMED REM-CDP grant funds. Those funds are still paused from February. And then I just wanted to mention the technical issues you may have experienced briefly at the end of July that caused some disruption in zone rules. The system admins can give some more detail during their report, or you can contact Motorola. But I did want to mention that first, it appears those issues have been mitigated thanks to the immediate response by system admins and Motorola. Scott, who isn't here today because he's at the fair, was very impressed with the diligence of Joel Bates, who tracked down the cause of the problem and was able to instigate a fix. We will continue to work with Motorola until a root cause is identified, which is the main goal. I just wanted to quickly mention that even though the occurrence was annoying and problematic, the system was working to rectify the problem. It was encountering redundancy that is built in, allowed the system to continue to come back up and try to fix itself when it was encountering the issue. And then another quick thing of note, if you see the yellow triangle in the bottom of your console, that resource is available. You just have to click on it and it will allow you. Just a reminder, if you don't have an agency-specific email address that gets distributed, no matter who's on vacation or who might retire from your agency, such as dispatch at city of or PD at city of, something similar to that, please consider setting that up and providing it for communications so important messages don't get lost or delayed. And then there will be a number of policy and standards on the 30-day comment period after today's meeting. Just a reminder, you can do those on our website, and so please take a look at those if you have interest. And then just one more reminder, since Chair Bischoff isn't here, that the committee member reapplications are due by November. We talked about that at our last meeting. To stick with our new policy structure, we're asking that all committee members reapply to every committee that they're on, so a one job form for each committee. And if you aren't currently on a committee and you're sitting on this meeting and you have interest in being on one, please consider joining in on the discussion, filling out that form, and attending one of our 7 committees or number of subcommittees that we have. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Haley? Hearing none, we'll move on to the 911 Council report with Program Manager DeRouche.
Yep, thank you. Not much to go in depth on today. Just if you are interested in any of the financial situation going on within the 911 community, or interested in anything such as cost recovery or NG 911 transition, it would probably be a worthwhile council meeting for you to go back and review. As a reminder, we do post that on our YouTube page. It'll be on later today at some point. So quite a good discussion on those couple topics, and really kind of throughout the council meeting in general, various, I would say, important topics came up of interest to the community. So if you missed that earlier today, it's probably worthwhile for you to check that one out. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them, but that would conclude my briefing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Up next is the User Group Committee, Chair Vandewater.
Thank you. We had no new applications for the month of July, and therefore we canceled the July meeting. So that is all I have. That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Up next is Finance Committee, and Michelle is not here today, so I'm guessing, Haley, you're going to give that report.
Yeah, it's a standard report. We do have the end of the fiscal year, so there are 2 documents that were provided. We have, this is that the new fiscal year? The ending balance was $50,000. You'll see at the top there was an influx of $41,637. That's for salary pay, and then we're starting off the next year with our monies that start the account off. So are there any questions about that? I think that everything else is standard.
Thank you. Up next is Governance Committee, Chair Colby.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Sorry I wasn't able to be there in person today, but we did meet last week. We went through our second to last policy that we need to review as a governance committee for this year, which is 2015-02.G. We did have some minor changes, which are included in the packet out to the group. Basically, we went through and just summarized the policy name. It was quite lengthy and got it down from several sentences down to just one sentence, managing access to ISICS interoperability frequencies and channels by non-government entities. And then at the very last paragraph of the policy there, we made some minor changes to the verbiage there to be more all-encompassing on develop and publishing protocols that are in line with regional and national standards. So we just had originally listed as the APCO standards, but we also added that sentence to the bottom there, and other frequency coordinating agencies, organizations, sorry, too. So it's just a little more all encompassing. The rest of the stuff that you see changed in there was stuff that had been vetted prior to myself joining the board of the governance committee either. And we did not have any other input or any other changes on the policy outside of what we just discussed there. I think it cleans up the policy, makes it a little bit clearer with the policy name, and then just gives us a little more guidance and input on the very last sentence there. And I think that's, unless I'm missing something that maybe Haley would want to add, we're ready to push it out to a 30-day review, which I believe is on the agenda at the end of the meeting. We do plan on reviewing next month, or next meeting, the last policy that we have set for us to review this year. That's 2023-02.G. This policy and standard adoption review and revision policy. So that will be on our agenda to get done for the rest of the calendar year on policies that we need to look at and make changes as necessary. That's all I have for the report, unless there's any questions or if Haley has anything to add to my report.
Any questions for Chair Colby? Okay, thanks. Up next is Operations Committee, Chair Erpelding.
All right, thank you. Operations met last Wednesday, August 6th, with 6 being present. We finished up our old business, working on ISIC standards 1.6.0, talk group, multi-group, and agency group ownership. We had minor language changes on these, and these are going to go back into the standards. We don't have anything additional, unless the SWIC has anything to add. Nothing? Okay. All right. In addition to that, old business, we also finished up the work on 1.15.0, emergency management talk group. Same there. Just some minor changes, and we're going to put that one back. Under new business, we took some deeper dives and did some substantial changes that we're going to see later coming up in part 16 of the agenda. We're going to take a look at the 1.11.0, the scene of action channels. And also on our new business, we looked at Isicsb policy 2021.01.0, adoption of conventional 700 air to ground for use in Iowa. We had some changes on that too. I'd also like to just wait until we go to new business, part 16 of this agenda, to address those. I believe that's going to conclude my report this time.
Thank you. Any questions for Chair Erpelding? Up next is Training and Outreach Committee with Chair Wooten.
I'm going to have to rely on Haley. I was in another meeting on that day.
Scroll down here. Where's my computer catch? We just met on July 17th. We had a discussion about the alerts and audible alert tone script that we had been working on, and some recordings that we were going to capture for that, which we have done and concluded. We'll discuss that at our next meeting. And then the discussion followed some AI in the comm centers that's happening, and just went on about stuff that was discussed at the supervisors group meeting for the comm center supervisors. And that's all that was handled in training, if there's any questions for me.
Any questions for Slick Nichols regarding Training and Outreach Committee? Okay, thank you. Moving on is the Technology Committee, and I will say that we met on the 24th of July and the 7th of August. I will get to policy 2015-03 and standard 3.6.0 when we get to agenda item 16 to explain what we did. But the goal was to get these two documents into 30-day comment. Like I said, I'll comment on that when we get to agenda item 16. The other things that we addressed were, one, developing talk groups for the 700 meg conventional channels that you see on the Isicsb ICS 217A. One of our members has developed hex codes that could potentially work for the state agencies, DPS, DOT, Homeland Security, Department of Corrections, Health and Human Services, Department of Natural Resources, and Department of Public Defense. That's still in the planning stages, and we also want to add hex codes for the federal agencies that exist out there. So that's a work in progress. The other thing that we addressed is we've identified 11 frequencies in the 800 megahertz band, 6 of which would be used at 35 watts effective radiated power, and 5 frequencies that would have a 2 watt effective radiated power limitation. The goal is to try to seek approval to license those frequencies, but the first things that need to be tackled is developing emission designators, i.e., do we run digital, do we run analog, or do we run multimode? And so before we license anything, this is one of those things that we need to work out. One of the other suggestions was to take one of the 6 channels that has a max ERP of 35 watts and designate it as a statewide 800 meg repeater. Currently, the SPRs have 800 meg repeaters, but they're on the non-federal interop frequencies. So the reason for that is that if you're not in an interoperability situation, you probably shouldn't be using those particular frequencies. So if we stand up a mobile repeater on that one channel for operational use, then you have that capability of doing things, I guess, the right way, if you will. So that's a work in progress. It's probably going to take some time, and we'll continue to report on that as it progresses. And so that's all I have for the technology update for today. If you have any questions, let me know. And up next is FirstNet Broadband Subcommittee Chair Benson.
Thank you. Good morning, I guess it is. We met this week on Tuesday. There were no real action items that we discussed. We did have the authority, Tom Lampy, review some of the surveys that were brought back from last month's coverage workshop. Tom will discuss those later on in the other reports with the authority. We also had some updates from the AT&T partners with Bart Blank and the others that were on the meeting. But other than that, I don't really have anything pressing to report, but I would take any questions if anyone had any.
Any questions for Chair Benson?
Thank you.
Next is, thank you. Sorry about that. Up next is information sharing from board members. Do we have any information sharing? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the Isicsb System Administrator report. And I know Scott's not available, so I don't know if Dave or Al is going to do that.
It's going to be me. Good morning, everyone. My name is
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. And as one of the system administrators, I'm going to provide a report today. On July 28th and 29th, the system experienced multiple brief console interruptions and site trunking events, which caused user frustration. And while investigating the cause, Motorola identified some bandwidth limitation on a few segments of the microwave backhaul. The issue has been rectified and the system has remained stable since corrective measures were implemented. RF preventative maintenance continues with Western Iowa sites scheduled for the rest of August and early September. The maintenance schedule was distributed to Isicsb users on July 29th. Please let me know if anyone needs a copy of it. Also, last Sunday, the Brooklyn site was struck by lightning, causing damage to the equipment and compromising 5 links out of the 6 on that site. We will continue monitoring that to ensure stability. Additionally, I have some numbers. Currently, we have 46,728 radios, 3,633 talk groups, and last month we had 4.9 million push to talks. And with that, I conclude my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for our system administrator today? Thank you, Al. Up next is FirstNet Authority with Tom Lampy.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm working from the fair today and I'm talking with public safety about the network. As you know, or you may not know, there is a site on the state fairgrounds just for FirstNet, which was put in years ago to provide you your band 14 and any other band that public safety needs. Tremendous amount of people, which causes congestion. But if you're a FirstNet user, you should have no issues. That's the whole premise of the network, is to have public safety get the network when others are using it and when it becomes congested. Ideally, the state fair is ideal for FirstNet, since the congestion, if you got that many people all at one time that are using their devices, most of the time, 50%, maybe a little less than that, people that are at the fair are walking around either on their device or they're not. But if something does happen and you've got 80,000 people and something happens like an emergency, that number goes drastically through the roof. Everybody's on their devices and they're talking, they're texting, they're not only doing that, they're streaming, and that streaming kills networks. However, that's why FirstNet was built, just for that reason. So public safety can use device without interruptions and always have the priority which they need all the time, and not some fancy network slice that we need. We don't need the network slice, which we have our own core, and that's the whole reason behind it. We're continuing to work with the states on the coverage gaps. We have approximately 20 of those done. We did do, I think I reported last month, we did Iowa, and I'll continue to provide that information. I have been getting some submissions for Iowa on the survey tool that was sent out after the meeting. I got, I think, maybe up to 10 now. And ideally, if you don't get any, you're assuming the network is working just fine and there's no holes, but that's not realistic, because every network, no matter what carrier you are, you have holes somewhere. The unique thing about FirstNet is the authority uses those reinvestment dollars to work with you, show you the weak spots, and just be upfront with you and show you where those are and where we feel they are, listen to you where they're at. and then reinvest those dollars to get those areas filled through the years. That's what the unique thing about the whole FirstNet national network is about, and the authority and how it works with the authority. There's now established national broadband talk groups. I think we reported this. Haley knows about those. With the authority and APCO and National SWIC working together, you're going to see those being used more and more as the broadband push to talk, and using those on applications come into play for events. So those are starting to come to light. That's my report. Like I said, I'm going to be at the fair today, but I'll take any questions while I'm on the line.
Any questions for Tom Lampe on this matter? Thank you, Tom.
Sure.
Up next is an AT&T update. Bart Plank. I guess Bart is not available today, so we'll move on. Up next is the CISA update with Chris Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Appreciate the time as always. Got a few updates for you here this month. A couple of ransomware things to start off with. One of them is an updated cybersecurity advisory for what's known as Scattered Spider. This is actually the third revision of this cyber advisory, and Scattered Spider is kind of a unique one. What they do is they will utilize different methodologies for different types of attacks that they may want to engage in. They target several sectors of critical infrastructure, communications being one of them, and they are continually evolving. And one thing that they're starting to use now is a new version of ransomware called Dragon Force. They use all the theft that they are able to get for your data. They use it for extortion, and they'll also ransomware you to try to get money out of agencies that they manage to hit. Again, this is a group that evolves quite a bit from month to month, so this is a good update for your cybersecurity-minded groups within your agency. It does have some mitigations recommended within the updated advisory as well. One of the things that stands out the most is the backups for your systems. A lot of us will have backups that are routinely connected to our systems, so they're readily available. But in the case of Scattered Spider, to enhance that a little bit, you want to make sure your backups are separate and offline, so that if this does end up affecting your agency, it doesn't get into your backups, or at least it has a lower probability of getting to them. So this is out there. It's linked on the bottom. We've been able to shorten the URL for everybody. But again, this is an updated cyber advisory. This is the third iteration of it. So this is a persistent threat actor as well, and they will likely be back. Next update is a cyber advisory on the Interlock ransomware. Interlock was first observed in September of 2024. So this is a relatively new group, and their primary targets are businesses and critical infrastructure. Again, communications being part of the critical infrastructure part. This cyber advisory, I believe it's version 1, contains the indicators of compromise that would suggest that you've been hit with them. It also outlines historically observed tactics, techniques, and procedures that the groups that utilize Interlock ransomware typically employ. The thing here to keep in mind about Interlock is it is opportunistic ransomware, and it's financially motivated. Typically, the groups that are deploying this. They will utilize drive-by downloads from compromised websites and also click-fix social engineering. The drive-by download is probably the more concerning part, because that's hard to manage, because you could go to a website you know is good, but if that website has been compromised either through like an ad delivery service or something like that, you may end up with this on your system. So keep in mind that this group will also utilize a double extortion model, which the threat actors will encrypt the systems after they steal the data. And then they'll say, well, if you don't pay us, we will release your data. Or if you want your data back, you still have to pay us anyway. So the group that utilizes this ransomware does utilize that double extortion model, which, again, they will tend to come back once they know that they can get in. Big thing here for mitigating this one is making sure your domain name system filtering is up to date, especially if you're talking about drive-by downloads. You want to make sure your web access firewalls are up to date, and of course, make sure your credentialing and access policies are in line. Big thing here also is network segmentation. The last thing you want this group to do is move laterally across your network from one portion to another. Again, this is focused for your cybersecurity groups. This is a relatively new advisory. It's available on our website on the bottom there, and we've shortened that link for you. The next slide will be something a little bit new. A lot of times you'll hear us talking about things that are going to potentially threaten you, but now we have something that's available for you to evict the people that may be threatening your networks. This does reference a few things by name. Don't consider it necessarily an endorsement. Think of it as an option for consideration. But the CISA Cyber Eviction Strategies Toolkit is now available for download. And this is basically a way to develop a playbook for responding to cyber incidents using tools that are out there, such as Counter and MITRE ATT&CK. The thing here is that this is a database of post-compromise countermeasures that you can use that are mapped to specific techniques, tactics, and procedures that threat actors will use to get into systems. It also includes response plans based off of things that have been observed in the field and from other frameworks. In total, it's got about 100 fully developed, researched, and curated actions that you can take as incident responders from the cyber side to get threat actors out of your systems. This is available for download as well. The nice thing about some of these actions, I got a question before about the term atomic actions. That is one of those things where either it works or it doesn't, and you know right away if the strategy you employed is successful. That's available on our website for download. It is a fairly sizable read, but for those of you that are looking at either updating an incident response playbook or creating one organically, this is a good place to start. It's got a lot of supplemental information that can be useful. Regional news of note for technical assistance to the region. We have 2 communications exercises coming up within Region 7. One is in Cape Girardeau. That starts next week. And then the Kansas City communications exercise that is tied to FIFA. That takes place August 26th to the 27th. We have some more deliveries coming out relatively soon, so stay tuned for that. Then, of course, the Red River Commune Boot Camp is starting next fiscal year for us. That's October 12th through the 27th along the Texas-Oklahoma border. That is an opportunity if you have some instructors that want to get those teaching credentials taken care of. This is an opportunity for them to get that knocked out of the park as well. Otherwise, that is my report for the month. Mr. Vice Chair, I can go ahead and take any questions.
Questions for Chris Myers? Item 15, old business, doesn't look like there's anything there, so we'll move on to new business. First on that list is adopt ISIC standard 1.5.2, aircraft landing zone coordination. Is there any further comments on that? Okay, so we're looking for a motion to adopt ISIC standard 1.5.2 aircraft landing zone coordination.
Opening a motion.
Andy Waters, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ISIC standard 1.5.2 aircraft landing zone coordination passes. Up next is adopt ISIC standard 3.8.0 emergency call and alarm activation. Is there any other comments on that or explanation?
Has been
We're
up
looking
for
for a motion to
30
adopt.
days. Comment, and we have received no comments on these top 3 here that have been up for a 30-day comment period. Patrick.
Okay. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to adopt ISIC standard 3.8.0 emergency call and alarm activation.
Open motion.
Benson will second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? To adopt ISIC standard 3.8.0 emergency call and alarm activation passes. Up next is adopt ISIC standard 3.15.0 regional call audio. We have a motion to adopt that.
Benson
Colby
will
will
make that motion.
Colby will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? ISIC standard 3.15.0 passes. Up next is an approval for 30-day comment on ISIC standard 1.11.0 use of the 700, 800 meg scene of action channels. I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to approve for 30-day comments, ISIC standard 1.11.0, use of 700, 800 meg scene of action channels.
Dribbling a motion. Andy Water, second.
And a second, any additional comments? All in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? A comment on ISIC standard 1.11.0 use of 700, 800 meg scene of action channels passes. Up next, approval of 30-day comment on ISIC standard 3.6.0 radio site access permission subsystem roaming. Let me pull that up here. Holly, can you pull that up on the screen so I can kind of explain that real quick?
Do not see it.
I can see it.
Okay, so what we did with this was give it a purpose up front on this standard. Not a lot of changes. If you scroll down towards the end of the document, you took out some words that probably shouldn't have been there. And the biggest thing in this was originally it said the use of critical user and critical site in the system is generally discouraged and must be authorized by the Iowa Statewide Interoperable Communication Systems Board. We pulled that out and just put the ISIC system administrator because typically they're going to be the people you deal with first and foremost, and it just lessens the time to deal with whatever that subject is. So this is why we wanted to put that out there for 30-day comments for the most part. Otherwise, not a huge list of changes there. And Haley, I don't know if you want to add additional comments to that.
No.
Okay. So, moving forward, we're looking for a motion to approve a 30-day comment on ISIC standard 3.6.0 radio site access permission subsystem roaming.
Benson will make the motion for 30-day comment period on the 3.6.0.
Colby will second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the 30-day comment on ISIC standard 3.6.0 radio site access permission subsystem roaming has passed. Up next, approval for 30-day comment on ISIC policy 2015-02.g, supporting government control of interop frequencies or channels.
I'd make a motion.
We're
Colby.
looking for. Okay, we got a motion.
Andy Water, second.
We have a. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just have one point I'd like to make. This is Mike Colby. Our governance committee our regular monthly meeting is set to fall on Labor Day, so we will not meet in September. So that'll go beyond the 30-day comment. So we will meet again in October, and then I would ask for this not to make the agenda for approval until the October, just so we can meet in October and look at any 30-day comments that pop up, and then have it on the October agenda for approval if there's no changes.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or discussion? So all in favor of this 30-day comment on ISIC policy 2015-02.g, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the 30-day comment on ISIC policy 2015-02.g, supporting government control of interop frequencies or channels, has passed. Up next is an approval of 30-day comment on ISIC policy 2015-03.p, defining public safety grade for communications equipment. So when we looked at this, defining public safety grade is large, to say the least. And so there was really little to no changes, other than we did at the bottom of this policy reference by saying ISIC supports the best practices guidance of the National Public Safety Telecommunications Council Public Safety Communications Report, defining public safety grade systems and facilities final report from May 22, 2014. That is a 123-page report that covers just about anything and everything you can think of when it comes to bringing your systems and facilities up to public safety grade. If you haven't read it, I would recommend that you do that. So we wanted to put this out for 30 days because of that. And so with that, I would seek the motion for 30-day comment on ISIC policy 2015-03.p, defining public safety grade.
Andy Water makes a motion.
Do we have a second?
Benson will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the 30-day comment period on ISIC's policy 2015-03.t, defining public safety grade for communications equipment, passes. Up next, approval of 30-day comment on ISIC's policy 2021-01.o, adoption of conventional 700 meg air-to-ground channels for use in Iowa. Do we have a motion to approve the 30-day comment?
Motion.
Colby will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Did I repeat myself?
We didn't hear a call for a vote.
Yeah, vote.
Vote.
Okay, sorry. Must have had a technical problem. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 The 30-day comment period on Isicsb policy 2021-01.0, adoption of conventional 700 meg air to ground channels for use in Iowa, has passed. Sorry for any confusion there. Up next is public comment. Do we have any public comment for today? Okay, hearing none. Up next is, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Colby motion.
Benson will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Yep.